So, we've heard grave warnings this week about wild conspiracy theories profiting off the presidency and the one person in Washington turning the country upside down. Only those warnings weren't about President Trump. They weren't at President Trump, and they weren't coming from the Democrats.
I could go abroad, make millions off of my father's presidency. I'd be a really rich guy. It would be incredible.
Down in the skiff right now is like a cult. These are a group of people loyally following their leader as he bounces from one outlandish conspiracy theory to another.
For one man to turn this country upside down, to have this vote today. Our founding fathers warned about this.
And that could be called the art of projection.
Could also be called shamelessness at an absolutely breathtaking pace. Back in the late 90s, during the last impeachment, there were a lot of Republicans that talked about the death of shame. Even the New Republic talked about the death of shame. Well, here we are 20 years later, and there you see it among people who actually act like they're in a personality cult, people who have spent their entire life enriched by their father's last name, and Republicans who, this really is breathtaking, voted yesterday on whether to have an inquiry into whether the commander-in-chief compromised national security and one of our Democratic allies who had been invaded by Russia, whether we should have an inquiry into whether he did make those compromises for his re-election campaign. We have the evidence already. It's out there. And yet not a single Republican. You talk about a personality cult.
Yeah.
You talk about projection. There it is right there. And you know what? It's at this point, it's just sad.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's how they'll be remembered by history, and it's not going to be pretty.
Well, if it was just sad, perhaps it'd be okay, but it's also really bad for our country, along with...
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.